The Supreme Lord is defined in our scriptures as having Achinta Shakti, or inconceivable potencies. One of his potencies is that his name is non-different from himself. So if we chant the name of the Lord, that is actually Krishna. We may not realize that because we're impure and we don't have our devotion developed, but if we get to the stage of bhava and prema, then we actually realize when we chant the name, that is Krishna. That is his form, those are his qualities, that's his pastime, and we establish a relationship through the name. So the name and Krishna are non-different. Similarly, the deity form is also non-different from the Supreme Lord. There is, of course, a little difference here. And that is that the non-difference occurs after the installation of the deity. Before that, it is not actually the deity. It is not the form of the. It's not the deity. It's not different, non-different from the Lord. After the installation, then Krishna and the deity are non-different. So, why? Why is that so? Is because a person takes a piece of stone and he gets a chisel and he chops it up a little bit and makes a form. Of course, we're required to rules and regulations. He manifests the form in that stone. So before that, it wasn't there. Then it becomes there. So it's, in that sense, temporary, whatever. It's a new item. And then someone will worship the deity. So it is when the worship takes place, or the devotion is present, that the Lord is present. So the installation procedure is the procedure by which we call the Lord into that form. The form is there, but it's not non-different from the Supreme Lord until we call the Lord in there actually. So how is that done? Of course, there are many procedures in the Pratishtha ceremony, installation ceremony. The most important element there is the devotion. So it would be possible to install a deity by devotion of a great devotee itself without having to go through all the procedures of Pancharatra and etc., which are quite complex. But in general, we try to follow a procedure which is at least compromised. That is, we have the devotion of devotees, plus we do follow some minimum standard of procedures for installation. So after that point, once we call the Lord in, and then we have this non-difference of the deity from the Lord. So the scriptures tell us that one should not see that form as anything else. We should not see that form as stone or metal or wood or any material. That is considered offensive. It is actually the Supreme Lord. So how do we visualize that? That means we have to have great devotion. A materialist, when he looks at the deity, then he will actually see stone and colors and jewelry, etc. The devotee, when he looks at the deity, he's not looking for those things. He's actually trying to see the form of Krishna. Now in sadhana, of course, that is a little difficult because we actually only realize the Lord at the stage of bhava. But as I said, this is a act of mercy of the Lord, that he appears in this form. So we take advantage of what is there in that deity form, and we see that form with devotion, and then we are attempting to see that spiritual form of the Lord. See it as non-different from the Supreme Lord himself. This will give us a great appreciation of the Supreme Lord. So we should not in any way attach material conceptions to our seeing the Supreme Lord in the temple in that deity form. We have to actually understand he is non-different from the Lord. Then we have many stories in the among the great devotees of the Lord in Lord Chaitanya Sampradaya, how the deity interacts with the devotee, like Sakshi Gopal, for instance, or Radharaman deity. Many stories are there in which not only the form is non-different from the Lord, but the deity actually performs activities and accepts the service of the devotee and speaks to the devotee. That, of course, will happen on a very high level when one has reached a very high stage of devotion. But nevertheless, we have to practice to attain that type of vision. So sadhana bhakti and the worship of the deity and having the proper attitude of understanding the Lord is non-different from that deity, these are we say, rules and regulations or principles that we try to practice now in order to attain that stage where the deity actually interacts personally with the devotee.